So anyway, so you plan to kill him. He's using the bathroom in the woods, and he hits the side of your vehicle. Then what happened?
And I got out of the truck with the gun, and we started having words, and I shot him.
You shot him.
Yes.
Now the rest of the story that I understand is you hid his body in the woods, and you went and told your friend that you had shot him, and y'all moved his body like to a stump or something like that so it couldn't be found.
Some of you might recognize this woman, and that's because we covered her 2022 parole hearing, and now she's back 2 years later, September of 2024. Before we jump in and watch this parole hearing, we're going to take a blast to the past to rewatch that 2022 one. Only a fraction of you have seen it, so I would say let's dive in together. But if you've already seen it, feel free to fast forward to the second part, which I'll bookmark. Now with that, let's jump in.
Panel this morning are Ms. Pearl Wise, Mr. Freeman, and Bonnie Jackson, and I will be chairing today. The support staff located at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge you are serving a sentence for manslaughter. You were sentenced on March the 13th, 2003 to 40 years, and also aggravated second-degree battery. And you were sentenced on that on February 12th, 2019, where you received 5 years at hard labor to run concurrent with the manslaughter sentence. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
To call out for the record, how long you been in jail?
It will be 20 years, exactly May 28th of this year, 2022.
20 years on May 28th. And you have had 4 write-ups in those 20 years, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you didn't get a write-up for the 2019 incident.
No, ma'am.
It
had happened.
Go ahead.
It had happened in May of 2017, and
Yes.
they had brought me back to Tallulah from LCIW in February of 19 to get sentenced at the courthouse.
Oh, okay. Mr. February 17. So tell us about that. That's very disturbing. What was going on?
Yes, ma'am. I had 15 years. I had an excellent record. And I got shipped to Tallulah, and I let my emotions, me and this girl, Rachel, I let my emotions and my anger get the best of me. That's how I can put it. But since then, however, I have taken anger management. I've taken living in balance, substance abuse, phase 1 and 2, life's healing choices. I took a 12-week Experiencing God Bible study. I did the Inside Carol's Weekend experience. I did the 9 months of Celebrate Recovery Inside. I did the Onesimus Project for 10 months, and I did the Partners in Parenting for 12 weeks, and I attend AA meetings regularly. And I've got some degrees and some certificates too in horticulture, landscaping, and NCCER, and I'm also an NCCER instructor. But I had taken anger management in Cottonport years ago, and over there they just taught us to understand and reduce our angry feelings. But over here, when I took it, it taught us how to cage your rage. It taught us our triggers. It taught us, there's alternatives. There's other ways, because it's like if you make a choice, whether it's a good choice or a bad choice, there's consequences you have to face. And they didn't teach us that back then. But it's like now I know that I got the tools now.
I'm glad to hear that. That sounds like you have really thought about that. But I'm just going to put on the record that victim is strongly opposed to your early release, and so is the DA's office. Strongly opposed. Okay. Had that not happened, my decision would have been easy. But I'm very challenged. I want you to know that about that incident. So you did. So what are your triggers for anger? Because and let's go back to your murder charge. What was that all about?
I let my anger get the best of me because I had been angry my whole life. And
Okay.
when I did a fourth step probably 20 times in my whole life and never got to the root of my problems and my anger. And when I did my fourth step over here and celebrate recovery, I got to the root of my problem. And I had been angry at myself my whole life. And I just took it out on people that was the closest people to me. And it was just me I was mad at my whole life because I always felt like I was different because I grew up liking girls. And nobody else in my town or my family was like that. So I just hated myself all these years. And I just took it out on other people, you know, and that's what happened. And I mean, I'm sorry to the family of him because we all grew up together. And
Stop you
they
there.
trusted.
It's my understanding that if you are granted parole today, that family still lives next door to where you will be living. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
They don't live there?
No, ma'am. They live in another city, another town.
Okay. You sure?
Um, his sister was living in Brobridge
Uh-huh.
or Henderson. That's like 40 minutes from where we live.
So to your knowledge, they did used to live next door to you when you were growing up, right? Y'all were next door neighbors. The young man that you killed.
Yes, ma'am. When we were children.
Okay. And your understanding is that all of them have moved away. That's your
To my
understanding.
understanding.
That's right. So if you were successful today, where would you live and how would you support yourself?
Okay, right now I'll be financially secure and I'll be living in my mom's house. My mom had cancer and she passed away March 21st.
I'm so sorry to hear that. March 21st of when?
This year. They had found out
Okay.
they found out at the end of January that she had stage 4 cancer and she passed away March 21st. And I'll be living in her house. And my two sisters and my niece, we all live like within a 1/4 of a mile from each other on family land. So I'll be living over there. I'll have transportation. And I've talked to the Medicaid lady and she's already made me an appointment with the nurse practitioner in our little town, Miss Nancy Snyder, and at Mental Health in New Iberia. And if I'm released, I would go to my parole officer and see if he has a list of all the AA meetings and some numbers of the sponsors. And I want to try to find a good group. I want to try to find a Celebrate Life recovery group. I want to try to find an anger management support group. And I also have to get in touch with, her name is Miss Valerie Email. She has the New Beginnings class over here. And she gives the naltrexone. It's it blocks the endorphin receptors in your brain. So that way you don't feel alcohol or anything like that. And they have a 16 to 20 session aftercare support group that goes along with this that I want to do. And I also want to get me a job. I used to farm sugarcane with my cousin. And the shop is right across the road from my mom's house. I haven't gotten a chance to get in touch with him, but he might need help. If not, there's sugarcane farmers all around. I have degrees, I got certificates, and
You have spent your time well, and you really have spent your time. So what would you say to the victim's family? If they were here, just briefly, what would you tell them?
I would just tell them how I'm sorry and we grew up together and they trusted me and I let them down. And it's like I've done everything to better myself and I'm not coming back. And to Rachel, I'm sorry, but it's like back then I didn't have the tools I have now. If I'd have done stuff different back then, I didn't know, I didn't have the right tools that I got at LCIW. The programs over here work. The one at Cottonport didn't work. They didn't teach us what they taught us over here. And now I have what I need because the tools I got over here is the tools I use here. Because it's an everyday basis over here. It's a struggle. So if I could, I pass, it's like I just passed the test here. If you can do it in here, I can do it out there. I know I can.
Thank you, ma'am. And I don't want to put this on the record. One of your victims, 9 members of the family sent in letters of opposition. One of your victims, 9 members of their family sent in letters of opposition. You have strong DA law enforcement opposition, and your other victim is also strongly opposed to your early release. I just want to state that for the record, but I just want to commend you for your good work.
Okay.
That's all
Could I say
that's all
something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Bo Dewey, the district attorney, I get the Daily Iberian where I'm from, and he had an article in there, and this is the article right here. And they had opened up a new juvenile assessment and service center in New Iberia, and he's the one that was cutting the ribbon. And it's the area juveniles they charge with delinquent offenses.
Okay.
And parents can also refer their child to this program if their child is displaying ungovernable behavior.
Okay.
And I'm NCCR certified. I'm an instructor to teach craft skills. And I was thinking about getting in touch with him when I get out and see if I could donate my time and try to help some of these juveniles. And maybe we can teach them some skills and put them in the workforce, and maybe we could help these kids. And I also have I have this right here. They have this, one of the Saints players. He has a foundation. It's called Tay Nation. And he's partners with families and friends of Louisiana's incarcerated children. And I would like to get in touch with them too, because maybe they can help us. Maybe we can start in Iberia Parish with the juveniles and spread out to other parishes. And I don't know, these kids need to know somebody cares.
Thank you for that. You really give that some thought, and I appreciate hearing that.
And
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Ms. Wale, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Wale,
Yes, ma'am.
when you spoke to Ms. Wise about your manslaughter charge, you just simply said you had anger issues. Why were you angry at this victim? Why did you take out anger on this particular victim?
Because he had called and threatened to kill me and my family and stuff like that. And I shouldn't even, I had called the cops, I had called his parole officer, and they had just told me, they're like, well, we can't do nothing unless he does something first, and
But you got a gun from your parents' house, and you acted looking for him. And when you found him, you killed him, and then you enlisted a friend of yours to help you dispose of his body. Is that accurate?
no, I acted alone. I did.
But what about disposing of his body?
Yes, I
Did
did.
she was charged with being an accessory after the fact.
She did.
Yeah.
She was charged with that, but she didn't have anything to do with it. She knew
Right.
about it. She knew about it.
Well, sometimes people do things in the heat of the moment. But in this case, it wasn't the heat of the moment. You had to go get a gun, and then you had to go and look for him. And so you had ample opportunity to think about what you were doing and make different choices. And then when I look at the situation in the jail, again, you made the deliberate choice to heat up water in the microwave, and if it's going to be boiling, that's going to be 2 or 3 minutes to get it to boiling. And then you put sugar in it so that it would be a thicker liquid that would cause her more harm. And that troubles me. I want you to know that, because
Yes,
again,
ma'am.
this was not an spur of the moment, impulse kind of action, you thought about that. You had to make preparations for doing that. And I'm not quite sure how comfortable I am. I know you've taken anger management classes, and I'm glad to hear that. But you know, certain things you ought to know without having to take a class. That you're going to pour boiling water on someone and put sugar in, and I understand it was because of some dispute or disagreement with her involving a girlfriend of yours. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. And I have never had a girlfriend since because I gave it up.
Again, you say that now, but I'm concerned what happens in future relationships if you get angry or when you get disappointed. And all of that training, because you had anger management training before,
Yes, ma'am.
and all of that might just go out of the window. So how can we be confident that something like this isn't going to happen?
I know it's not gonna happen
Well, you may know how to make us confident that it's not going to happen, not just you knowing it.
because I don't want I have taken a vow of celibacy, and I don't want relationships anymore. I don't. I just the idea of me being with someone or someone touching me or me touching someone else, I'm not comfortable no more. I've been through a lot, and that's not something I want no more.
If the victim of the manslaughter wasn't an intimate partner, so it's not relationships, it's what's going on in you and the anger that you seem to have that you take out on other people. Regardless of what the cause of it is, you make some pretty deliberate steps to.
I was pregnant for him at the time.
Okay.
Hmm?
That's information that's new to us, that's never been disclosed before. All right, well, thank you. That's all the questions I
I
have.
forgot to ask the
Ms.
warden.
Wise.
So I forgot to ask the warden, if there any input, staff there have for us, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Mhm.
Good morning.
Good.
I'm Assistant Warden LaShonda Burks. So she has completed the horticulture program here at LCIW. Since completing the program, she continues to be the caretaker of the plants in the LCIW greenhouse. As far as mental health, she is stable and compliant with treatment. She has completed numerous self-help and cognitive behavioral programs. She has a total of 4 disciplinary reports while being housed here at LCIW, the last one being on January 8, 2005, and that was for disobedience. And that concludes my input.
Appreciate it.
All right, well, now, Ms. Wale, we'll hear from the speakers. And the first one is Kylie Aber, your niece.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Aber is not connected to audio, so she's not able to hear us. So we'll go on and see if we have Vicky LeBlanc. Is Vicky LeBlanc on the call?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, go ahead, Ms. LeBlanc. What would you like to say on behalf of Ms. Wale?
Yes, she's my sister, and I'm in favor of her coming home. She has all my support and my family support. We all live by each other on family land. And my sister lives next door, which is her sister and niece. And, you know, we have a couple of kids and grandkids, and we, you know, we have, you know, she has our full support.
Thank you. And we still don't have Ms. Bear. All right. Well, Ms. Wale, is there a closing statement that you'd like to make on your behalf to the board?
I just wish y'all have mercy on me because I know what I did in the past is wrong, but I promise y'all with everything in me, I'm not coming back. When you know better, you want better, you do better. And I've learned better. I'm better today than I was yesterday, but I'm not as good as I'm gonna be tomorrow. And I want to go out there and make a difference. And what I did in the past, there's no excuse for that. And these people didn't even deserve that. The people or their families didn't deserve it because not just them as victims. Even Rachel, she's not a victim. Her family's a victim too. It's not just her. And none of them deserve that. But I want to go out there and make a difference. And I want, like even the DA, I want to work with him in the future to try to do something with these kids, these juveniles. In relationships, I'm done with relationships. I know y'all probably don't believe me, but I'm done with them. I don't want that anymore. I have a focus. I want to start a business. I want to start my own business. I have some fonts that I have to get copyrighted. I have to get in touch with this guy. He said if I get released, I have to get in touch with him. He has an attorney in New Orleans. And we'll do the proper and the legal way, how to copyright my fonts and get a screen printing business going. And I don't know, I just feel like I can do a lot out there. I can, but my focus is on my family, staying sober and helping people, not to make the same mistakes I made. And I want to go in these high schools and talk to these kids because I know they have a lot of kids sitting there in those high schools that's hating themselves and that's angry with themselves and don't know how to talk about their problems. And I don't want it to just build up like it did with me. And then all of a sudden someone gets murdered, you know? I mean, no.
Thank you, Ms. Wale. Is the panel ready to vote?
Yes, I'm ready.
We'll start with Ms. Wise.
Thank you. You have really prepared for today. I hear your heart. I hear your intentions.
Yes,
I hear
ma'am.
your intentions. I hear your efforts that you're going to make. But I'm just not willing today to take a chance on you. And my
Okay.
condolences, you lost your mother.
Thank you.
Come from a very good family, and I appreciate hearing from them today. But
Thank
due to the overwhelming victims' opposition,
Okay.
strong law enforcement opposition, I'm just not willing to take that chance today. You keep doing what you're doing. Get another hearing.
I respect that. I respect that. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Freeman.
I also concur. I'm very proud of what you've done while you've been there.
Thank you.
To them with boiling water does make me a little nervous. I think without that, it would have been a slam dunk vote, but I'm gonna deny it this time.
Okay, I can respect that too.
Well, Ms. Wale, you got 2 votes to deny, so you know the outcome today is not going to be favorable. My vote today also is to deny because of strong victim opposition, law enforcement. But you've done a lot of good work, and you have a good heart, ready to get out and serve. And so I'm going to urge you to stay out of trouble.
That's
Keep working hard.
and I'm gonna keep striving to do better than I'm doing right now. And I want to come back before y'all and prove to y'all, I don't know how long it'll be before I can come back. 2 years. I'll be back in 2 years to see y'all.
Well, I look forward to seeing the progress you've made.
All right.
All right, good luck to you, Ms. Wale.
I thank y'all so much. I thank y'all.
The time is 8:57 a.m. and we're going to close out at LCIW.
At least whatever God's will, I pray for his will. Whatever his will.
Wow. Well, I hope the will is to keep Louisiana safe, because that in my opinion was a pretty scary hearing, a very strange hearing. There's something about her. grandiosity, maybe, total lack of self-awareness. You would think mental illness, and I'm not diagnosing her. I'm only speculating on a situation like this. For those who know, you know. It's just like I'm left speechless, really, from this hearing, of course, and other Miss Wise interviews. So you don't go into, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's great. Oh, okay. And, you have to get Miss Jackson to poke around a little bit to find out that even while she was locked up, it seems that she had cooked water, made it as dangerous and as damaging as she possibly could to boil it and putting much sugar in it. Was that what she did? And then poured it on a love rival. So she's in prison for taking a life because she can't control herself. And then while she's in prison, she pretty much commits a similar crime. And you just gloss over that right up. I mean, come on. I just can't with these interviews. But it's that, I mean, and then Mr. Freeman, it would be a slam dunk case without that write up. And I don't know why it would be a slam dunk case. I saw someone who was just totally in La La Land, living in this. I'm going to contact the district attorney and I'm going to reach out to him and he's going to have me teach juveniles how to, I don't know what it is that she did, how to make little stuff, and then we can put them in the workforce. And I'm going to copyright font, and I'm going to reach out to an attorney and copyright my font. And I'm going to reach out to this football player, and I'm going to talk to kids. I mean, like, I think the last person who should be around kids and juveniles would be you. And here I am back at my future 2024 self, and I left that part of the unpacking in because I still agree with that sentiment. So I said, sure, I'll keep it in there, and I'll play for you just the end of that unpacking, and then we're gonna jump into the 2024 hearing. It's a new board. Well, we have Mr. Freeman, but Mr. Prater, the sheriff, and Miss Stapleton, the new victims advocate, are back. Let's see how they handle this hearing. Do you think they're going to grant? Do you think she's going to change her strategy? Let's see if we can find any inconsistencies, or maybe she's, staying aligned with her initial statements. With that, let's jump in. But there you have it. That was a scary hearing. Someone who, in my opinion, should not be freed. I mean, I didn't see any accountability. Now, this hearing took place in 2022, and that means in 2 years, her next hearing will be coming up, and we will show it here. And thank you, Richard, for sharing the information. Sorry about me speeding it up, but I do have to run. And with that, I'll let you go.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. Like I say, you'll get your chance to say what you want to say, your supporters. If there is any opposition, they will say the opposition. Then we'll move into our panel here who will ask questions. Your particular case is Carolyn Stapleton will lead the questioning. We'll ask any other questions and we'll vote, and you'll immediately know what's going on. So having said that, we'll go ahead and get started. If you would, Ms. Willett, and tell us why we should consider paroling you.
First of all, I want to thank y'all for giving me this opportunity that y'all giving me today. And I'm here to take full responsibility for killing Kirby James Raybear. I know what I did was horrible. I can't take it back. I have to take responsibility for the horrible and horrific decision that I made that day. Because I took a lot of people's lives in the process of what I did, what I chose to do. And in 2002, I didn't just take Kirby's life, I took his whole family's life, because their life will never be the same without him in it. Birthdays are gonna come up, holidays, Christmas, and it's like they're gonna always have a hole in their heart. Nothing or nobody will ever be able to feel. Even as family members that wasn't even born yet, And I took a lot from them too, because Kirby's passion was fishing and crawfishing. Kirby taught me how to crawfish, and I know they could have benefited a lot from him. And I took that from those kids. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I understand. It's a big moment for you. Reliving it stuff.
It's just, I live with that every single day, and his family trusted me. I took a lot from him. I took a lot from him. I live with that every single day, and I'm responsible for that because I did that. Nobody else, I did it. I'm guilty of it. I had put it off on my girlfriend, and I denied it for so long, but you can only deny it so long.
Okay.
But anyways, the person I am today, since all of that has happened, it's like there's not enough sorries, there's not enough apologies in the world that will ever bring Kirby back. I wish there was, but there isn't. There's nothing I can do to change what I've done. The only thing I can do, and I did that, and that was to change me. And I had a hearing in April of 2022. And since then, they had denied me before. And since then, I've taken 9 more self-help classes, in addition to the 8 that I had already taken. I've taken 2 leadership classes, and I teach one of them now. I've got 11 more certifications with NCCER, in addition to the 8 that I had before. I got 4 technical certifications, and one of them being a master certification in digital literacy. And I got 3 licenses with the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry. And to be productive and responsible on the outside, you have to start in here. You have to be responsible and productive on the inside in order to succeed out there. And the person I am today, I'm not a person that wants to hurt people. I want to help people. If I can't hurt you, if I can't help you, I'm not going to hurt you. And I'm a force for change. It's like, ooh. It's like in order for me to keep growing and keep making positive decisions, I have to self-reflect every day. Every day. And I'm gonna have to do that for the rest of my life. I'm gonna have to do that on a daily basis. On a daily basis, I'm gonna have to do that. And I wanna, when I do get released, if y'all find me worthy of a second chance and show me mercy, I'll be residing at the parole project, the Louisiana Parole Project. That way I can succeed at re-entering society. Because everybody who's ever left here and went over there, nobody's ever came back. They have 100% success rate. And I want to be an advocate for victims awareness because I'm real big on victims. I want to go into these high schools. I want to talk to these kids because one bad decision, you don't just hurt that person, you're hurting everybody that loves them and you. You're hurting hundreds of people in the process. And I want to devote my life to that.
Okay.
I got a good family support system along with the parole project, and that's going to be a lifelong support system. And it's like, I didn't just change on my own. You got the administration here. You have Warden Thomas, she's wonderful. This place is wonderful. They help you so much, like to rehabilitate yourself. And I couldn't have done it on my own. If it wouldn't have been for the administration and the Lord, I wouldn't be the person I am today. I wouldn't be the person I am today.
Glad to hear that, and it sounds like you've done a lot of growing up, and we appreciate that. Appreciate the company down there. We appreciate the organization, what they do. Okay, we'll hear from the warden. Warden, tell us a little bit about, before we get into the supporters, Tell us a little bit about Tessie.
Sure. Good morning. I know she went over a good bit of her certifications, but she really does spend a lot of time really focusing on her education and vocational aspects while she's been here with us. And she really has taken on being a tutor for core and Tyro leadership. So she tries to give back in that aspect. And she was one of the first groups that actually she mentioned with the Department of Agriculture coming in and doing some additional certification. She was in that first group that was able to participate in that. So we really are excited about that, bringing that on and having additional certifications for the ladies. And I know she mentioned the parole project, but she will obviously have a residence plan and reentry services with parole project. But I know Ms. Jeremy will go into quite a bit of detail on that end, so I won't hit on that too much.
Okay. All right, thank you for that. Let's go ahead and hear from the niece now, Kylie Abear.
She can
No,
just
she can
stand up.
stand up
Yep.
behind
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Kylie. I'm Tessie's niece. I'm speaking on behalf of myself, my aunt, my mom, and our cousin. I was 10 years old when this tragedy happened, and it was a very hard and trying time for everyone. But we always stuck beside her, especially my grandparents, who are no longer with us. But they kind of helped us to stick by her. When she was out of prison, she had multiple jobs at one time. She was found working on the farm and driving tractors. That was her passion. Since her incarceration, she has continued to show these qualities. She has stayed busy the last 22 years by getting degrees and certifications. She used to help paint murals in Cotton Port. She's helped paint logos at the men's prisons. She tutored inmates and all that is what she said. And she's been a positive role model for them as well. Now that I'm 31, I've witnessed Tessie's remarkable personal growth and transformation. It is difficult to convey how significant it is, but Tessie is truly a different person from the one who walked into prison all those years ago. She has expressed a strong desire to give back to the community and help young kids from coming to prison. She has consistently taken responsibility for her past actions and has demonstrated a commitment to rehabilitation. Our family is prepared to provide the necessary support and encouragement to help her succeed and navigate any challenges she may face. I respectfully request that you consider granting her parole so she may return home and live out the rest of her life as the person we know she can be. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you very much, Kylie. We appreciate that. Okay, next, Louisiana Parole Project, who is in favor of this. Christy, are you going to speak to us?
Yes.
Okay.
Good morning, Board. My name is Christy Sherry, and I am a case manager for Louisiana Parole Project. Eligibility and release for Tessie Wallet. I'm Deidre Pierre. I was released from LCIW November the 1st of 2023 after serving 26 years. I have never found a more eligible woman for your consideration other than Ms. Tessie Wallet. During my incarceration, I met her while I was a council sub and a peer minister. I met her when she first received her charge, and I met her afterwards. Tessie has been an inspiration in my life. She has encouraged me through my 26 years of incarceration to do better. She encouraged me through her family members. She encouraged me through encouraging her.
Tell us what happened on that day.
I was in a real bad place. I was alone. I was hopeless. I was pregnant, and I wanted to end my life. I was going to bring Avante to be with his father and leave him and then end my life. But something happened between my husband and I. We got into an argument, and I started shooting. I shot Anthony, Avante, and I turned the gun on myself. Avante died that evening.
Great nephews, Kylie as well as Kason. She has been instrumental in my life. I had a chance to eat with her, sleep a few beds away from her. And in that, I experienced her lose her mother. And when she lost her mother, she turned around and she encouraged me because I didn't know when I would lose my mother or if I was gonna ever be released from prison. During those times, Tessie came and spoke to me about the word of God. She brought her Bible to me when I didn't want to read the Bible. She encouraged me to keep pressing no matter what my circumstances was. We had the opportunity to talk about business endeavors to help formerly incarcerated women and to give back to the state of Louisiana. We talked in depth about the remorse she felt for her actions while before incarceration and while incarcerated. Tessie is the most remorseful person I have had the opportunity to spend a lifetime with. On a professional level, Tessie is not only a businesswoman, she's an incarcerated woman, she is a model, she is a tutor, she is a mentor. And I'm proof today that opportunities and mentorship from the inside helps others transition. I was serving a life sentence. And if it wasn't for women like Tessie, I wouldn't be standing before you today. I wouldn't have the opportunities. I probably wouldn't be alive today had it not been for people instrumental to help me on my journey. The days when I cried, Tessie came and said, Deidre, you're greater than that. Now, I was considered a peer minister and a council sub for over 16 years. And it was women like Tessie that took the initiative as an older model within the carceral setting to come and encourage me in my journey. I have a history of depression. When she saw me depressed or discouraged, Tessie pretty much came on the side of me and showed me videos of her family members and the encouragement, things that I didn't have growing up. And in that process, I stand before you today, I plead with you, please grant her the opportunity to be released on parole. At least then the department would have the opportunity to see her progression. I'm also a product of the Louisiana Parole Project. If I'm standing here before you today as a paralegal in New Orleans, representing people in federal court, district court, it was the department that helped me get where I am on top of Parole Project. And then it was women like Tessie that took me under their wing and just helped me through life. And today I stand on behalf of Tessie Wallet and her family, and I just ask of you, please give her that opportunity. Whatever she needs, people from New Orleans, we're there for her. Whether it's mental, physical, everything.
You're the kind of friend everybody would want. And so,
And
thank you
please,
for those.
also part of you guys.
Thank you for
in
those.
this process. Thank you.
Thank you for those words on and support. Okay, this is a, let me see if I need to read anybody else's name. Hannah Rose Gradell.
Yes.
Gradell. Wow, I got it right. Is here also, and I think I've said everyone else's names that are in support. I just wanted you to know that Tessie, who was here supporting you. Okay, now we'll move into the part where the board gets involved. And Ms. Carolyn Stapleton, this is her case, the lead investigator, lead interviewer, whatever. And so go ahead, it's your turn.
Okay, Ms. Wallet, is it okay if I call you Tessie?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Because
ma'am.
this is the hard part, really. You already talked about the classes, which are excellent, that you availed yourself to. And then, of course, everybody said go on remarks for you, and all of that is wonderful. About the changes you wanted to make in your life. But we have to go back to what put you in prison to begin with. And
Yes,
we have to have, okay? So let's go to the first one. May 5th, 2002, they found a pistol in your house. Now I want you to tell me what happened to that man and why, please.
The reason why I had killed Kirby is because he had called and threatened me and my family, because I had gotten pregnant for him. It was supposed to be a planned pregnancy. And it was a tubal pregnancy, but he had threatened to come and kill me and my family. And I went to my parents' house, I got their gun, because I wasn't living with my parents at the time. And then he called again, but he called like several hours later. So I had just been sitting there drinking, getting more mad, more mad. I called his parole officer, Miss Barbara Beard, and I told her what he had done. He had called to threaten me. She said, we can't do anything unless he shows up over there. I called 911. They said, we can't do anything unless he shows up over there. So I waited, waited. The phone rang, maybe 1 o'clock. This was like probably 5, 6 hours after. And he was on the phone, he was crying, he wanted me to go pick him up. He was at his cousin's house in Brobridge, Melissa Gary. So I said, all right, I'm gonna go pick you up. So I went and I picked him up, he gave me the directions. I went pick him up and I was bringing him back. And I still had the gun with me. And my plans, I was gonna kill him. So we was going in the woods and it's like, at that point, I didn't know if I really wanted to do it or if I did.
This the one that did that to me.
Mm-hmm. No. The girl out in Cotton, Cholula.
She's muted again. You can talk.
What?
Who's talking, please? Ma'am? Tessie?
Okay.
You were saying that you had picked him up and you had gone to the woods.
Yes, ma'am. And it's like I was struggling like in my head. Should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I do this? Should I not do this? And he started kind of like talking out of his head. He had to use the bathroom. He went outside. He hit the side of my truck. So I was like, I got out my truck. I went and we started having words and I shot him. I did.
Okay, so prior to this, what you were saying is he was calling and threatening you.
Mhm. Yes, ma'am.
And you called 911.
Yes, ma'am.
And you called, he was on probation, is what you said?
He was on parole and
On parole?
his parole officer was Miss Barbara Beard at the time. And I even called her and because I had been taking him once a month to his appointments.
Well,
So
it's real unusual that a person who's receiving threats would then go and get a gun and then go get the person who is threatening them and then plan to kill them. And then, I mean, these are your words that I'm using, and then have to go back and forth in their mind whether or not they're going to. So that's unusual that that would happen. Normally you would stay way away from that person if you're fighting them. So anyway, so you plan to kill him. He's using the bathroom in the woods and he hits the side of your vehicle. Then what happened?
And I got out of the truck with the gun and we started having words and I shot him.
You shot him.
Yes.
Now, the rest of the story that I understand is you hid his body in the woods and you went and told your friend that you had shot him and y'all moved his body like to a stump or something like that so it couldn't be found. Fill that in for me with the truth.
It was in the water on the side of the road. It was like a little cooling.
Yeah.
I put his body in there.
So, but you didn't want to be found. So you had a relationship with the family, and from what I could read, that for a whole month they're looking for this body. Of course, you know where he's at, and you don't tell them, and you kind of go along with it that you're having to look for it too, and you're very concerned. Also, is that correct, or you just stayed away from the family?
I didn't have any contact with the family.
Okay, so
No,
they
ma'am.
didn't know you had any involvement whatsoever.
No, I didn't have no contact with the family at that time.
And did you go back and check on the body to make sure it was still there?
No, ma'am.
No, okay. Those are some of the things that I read, so I was just curious about that. All right, so that's number one. Number two, so we fast forward to 2017, and you have an altercation with a woman that's in jail with you, in prison with you, and you end up scalding water with sugar, and you pour it on her, and she gets 3rd-degree burns on her face and on her chest. Tell me about that.
Yes, ma'am. I was in a homosexual relationship and that's what led up to it. I let my emotions get the best of me and I reacted. I wasn't thinking, but since then it's like the classes that I've taken here, I know how to cage my rage. I know how to decision making, every decision and every action, you have circumstances, you have consequences that you have to face. So now it's like I have to think before I react. And
Glad that you brought up the word consequences,
yeah,
because I know that I'm sure you've taken victims awareness programs and stuff.
yes,
So consequences are that we have from the family members of, Kirby. They're heartbroken. They don't want to see you back out in society again, and they feel like you're a danger to society. And then you have the consequences to the lady that you threw the scalding water on. She'll be scarred for life. She too does not, should be out because you're a danger to society. That's all I have to say about it. Anybody else have any questions?
No, sir, I have no questions.
Okay,
Well, I do have one question. How long have you served total on this charge?
22 years and a few months.
All right, I just want to make sure.
okay, we have one person that evidently is gotten online or on Zoom later. Her name is Rachel Marlborough, and she wants to speak in opposition. So we'll go ahead and have Ms. Marlborough, if she's on the line now.
Hello?
Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
is this Ms. Marlborough? Marlborough?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Would you give your dog a biscuit or something? And so we can hear?
Yes, I came inside the house, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, what do you have to say that will help us in the case of deciding about parole for Ms. TESSIE Wallet?
Sir, can you repeat that?
What did you want to tell us about TESSIE Wallet?
Yes, sir. I think acting on something like that is very, it's just unexplainable. And I go through a lot of pain, and I have a lot of anger. I go through, and it just is it has messed my life up. My face messed up, my chest messed up. I gotta go to the doctor for my breasts. I mean, it's not an excuse if you're feeling some type of way about somebody for you to go and throw hot scalding water with sugar in it on someone. I mean, it's no excuse for that. I mean, it's other ways that you can deal with it's every action. You don't have to have a reaction for it. And it was just it was horrible, and it's still horrible for me. I'm 47 years old, and I go through a daily on a daily. I have an anger problem because every time I look at myself, I remember how she threw that on me.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. Is that all you need to say?
Yes.
Rachel, thank you very much for getting on with us and let you take care of whatever else you got to do. Okay, I think there are no further questions that were brought up about the opposition. No other questions? Okay, Ms. Stapleton, you'll lead the voting off, and what do you think?
I recommend to deny based upon, we have law enforcement, opposition with the sheriff and the DA. Also, we have extreme victim opposition for both crimes.
Okay,
My vote is the same for the same reason.
okay, I concur with my cohorts. I I was most concerned about in your initial statement, you talked about the homicide, but you never brought up the victimization of the that last lady that talked when you threw scalding water in her face. You never brought that up in the victimization of her, and I was kind of curious about that. So next time you come before us, I would suggest that you include that also, because that's a huge thing to have willfully heated water up, waited for somebody and thrown hot sugar water on them and cause second and third degree burns to their face and neck. So anyway, your parole has been denied. Thank you. The time is 9:36.
Well, and there you have it. And they were just not having any piece of it. And frankly, this is just a terrifying case. What else can I say? How can you be in prison and know that you can be coming up for parole and do what she did with that hot water to burn someone while in prison? When everything, you have everything, every reason in the world not to do that, but you can't control yourself. Clearly, just from that fact alone, she is a dangerous woman. And so, I mean, she had what, a total of a 40-year sentence plus 5 to run concurrent, but she's got another like 20 years to go. And I don't know at what point I would ever feel safe paroling her, because she has no control. She has zero self-control. Even when it's in her best interest, she would have gotten paroled if she had not done that initial act, because that's what they do. You serve enough time, you get paroled. We'll go over some of her crime. I don't believe a word that she says. I don't believe that she has empathy. This is my personal opinion. I have no idea. I have no proof. It's just, you can see, through both hearings, you see the manipulation at work. You see the attempt at tears. You see like the trying the words, and it's like, she had 2 years, and we'll see her again in 2 years. I plan on being here, still doing this as long as you continue to show your support. On that note, subscribe. Help me reach 100,000 subscribers. I hope we do before the 2 years come around. And I just realized my microphone was away. I hope you can hear me. It's it's interesting how this board handled it. It's a different format. I much prefer the old format, frankly. I don't know how you feel about that. But yeah, she tries not to mention even the scalding thing. The victim shows up in this case to lay down the facts of being burned, which is just mad. It's sickening. Who does that? And I don't believe her story for a second about the murder. They found that man shot through the heart, which sounds of course it could have been coincidence, or it could have been what is a pretty classic crime scenario when you shoot someone through the heart. More of a he broke your heart, so you shoot, type of thing, versus I was so afraid. It doesn't make any sense historically. I was so afraid of him. I just shut up. Anyways, Iberia Parish Sheriff says this ran in 2002. To think how time flies. Deputies testified that Tessie Willett at Laurelville at 2 a.m. this morning, arrested her at 2 a.m. this morning in connection with the body found Saturday in Iberia Parish, according to a press release. Willett, 30, was charged with second-degree murder of the man who had been tentatively identified as Kerbert. To think, at 36 years old, his life taken. The body was badly decayed, but photo identification was found on the victim, and examination points to the identification being correct. Falterman determined Monday that Robert was killed by a gunshot wound to the heart. He estimated that the body had been in the water where it was found since early this month. The forensic examination is still underway, and positive identification is expected once the body dental pattern matched the known records. The body was found Saturday by a man and his son as they rode four-wheelers through the Hunting Lease property at Kaling Road near Dotrive Road, about a mile from the lake. From Lake Boat Landing, sorry. The IPSO began full investigation once the tentative identification based on photo ID was obtained. As the cause of death became clear, detectives conducted many interviews to piece together Robert's movements through his final days. On May 13th, the IPSO had been contacted by the St. Martin Parish Sheriff's Office and a missing person report was filed. Robert, who is originally from St. Martin Parish, according to the release. Robert was believed to have been working in and around Laurelville area and ceased family contact for quite some time, the release stated. There was concern for his well-being and a missing person investigation began. As the investigation intensified, a link was made between Robert and Willette. The two had been employed by the same farmer during the last grinding season, and the pattern of involvement led to a search warrant for Willette's residence surrounding the property. According to the release warrant, the executive shortly after midnight on Willette's home, the IPSO had a warrant for Willette's arrest and was arrested and booked for Robert's murder. Now, it showed his address there, so I'm going to have to shrink this verbiage. So if you don't see the words I'm reading, it's because I am simply not going to play with that YouTube game with showing addresses. Even if it's a 25-year-old address and it no longer exists, it's not worth it. So then there was some drama around this where basically people filed a petition saying the DA was being unfair. And, you know, I won't go too much into that, but basically the DA had her co-conspirator testify against her. And was supposed to not get charged for it, but they ended up charging her for it, and she served prison time. And yet someone's father who got rid of the ammunition was a millionaire, didn't get charged, even though he had gotten rid of the gun and ammunition. And it actually got 30. So the group must collect 37,000 signatures. They got 2,800 signatures. So this is what the DA said anyways at the end of it. They got 2,800 signatures and they can only get 20 people to the courthouse. He said, quite frankly, I don't believe much of what they say, but most of what they say is fabrication. So yeah, whatever. I do believe the people filing the petition, not the DA, in those cases of how they charge people. But anyways, there you have it. I think, you know, we see a lot of interesting cases. I'm glad this was a quick deny. She gets to apply every 2 years. I think she's simply a danger, if not simply just for the fact that she did that in prison, and the idea that she would do that in prison only makes, I think you just have to play the odds game that she'll be a danger out in society. There's zero impulse because there's something wrong. Okay. Thank you, Richard, for tying together the dots of both hearings and the co-defendant's hearing, making it very easy for me to push this all together. Again, I'll have a link to the description of the co-defendant's hearing, who, by all accounts, is doing very well out in the community. Good for her, but her crime is also quite disturbing. Anyways, we have a lot of hearings coming up that we have multiple hearings. So make sure to go to the playlist that is called Return Of. That's a Return Of playlist. That's where I'll put all of these hearings if you want to see these multiple threads. Some of these hearings, we have 3 different hearings for the same person. Sometimes it's a commutation hearing, parole hearing. Sometimes it's a parole hearing and then they get revoked. So there's many different combinations of the Return Of. So check out that playlist. Subscribe, help us reach 100,000 subscribers. And with that, I'll let you go.
Acting on something like that is very, it's just unexplainable. And I go through a lot of pain, and I have a lot of anger I go through, and it has messed my life up. My face messed up, my chest messed up. I gotta go to the doctor for my breasts. I mean, it's not an excuse if you're feeling some type of way about somebody for you to go and throw hot scalding water with sugar in it on someone. I mean, it's no excuse for that.